One of the bloodiest and longest engagements of the First World War was fought around a small fortress town on the Meuse, Verdun. For nearly 10 months in 1916, French and German armies clashed in a grinding battle that would become a symbol of endurance, sacrifice, and industrialized slaughter. In early 1916, the German High Command planned an offensive not merely to seize ground, but to inflict such heavy losses that France would be weakened beyond recovery. Verdun was chosen for its symbolic value and its role as a logistical hub. The Germans hoped that attacking a place the French felt they must hold would force Paris to pour men and material into a killing zone. On February 21, 1916, the Germans opened with an unprecedented artillery barrage. For hours, guns of every caliber shattered the forts, trenches, and forests. The landscape was transformed into a moonscape of craters and twisted metal. Villages, wire, and masonry were pulverized. Artillery dictated the tempo of the battle, and the battlefield itself became an instrument of attrition. The initial German assault seized key positions, including Fort Douaumont, dealing a heavy psychological blow to the French and exposing the enormity of the challenge ahead. France responded by committing enormous resources to hold the line. Command changed hands until General Philippe Pétain assumed a central role in organizing the defense. Pétain stabilized the front by instituting a system of rotation that kept units in the line for limited periods, allowing replacements and rest for exhausted soldiers. He improved supply by opening the Voie Sacrée, a single road kept running day and night to bring men, ammunition, and food into the beleaguered sector. His leadership helped sustain morale and transform a tactical fight into a national cause. The fighting at Verdun was characterized by relentless, close-quarters combat and continual artillery preparation. Attack and counterattack cycled across a narrow front as both sides paid enormous prices for modest territorial gains. Forts that had once been symbols of defensive security, Douaumont, Vaux, changed hands amid bitter infantry assaults, grenade fights in ruined buildings, and brutal trench-to-trench encounters. Tanks were rare. The battle's decisive elements were steel, shell, and sheer human will. Life for soldiers on both sides meant endurance under unceasing bombardment, mud, cold, and the stench of the wounded. Medical services struggled to evacuate the casualties over shattered roads. Many died before reaching aid. Letters and diaries record a daily rhythm of fear, fatigue, and fleeting courage, voices singing in dugouts to drown the sound of guns, whispered prayers in shell holes, a shared resolve not to yield. The forests and hills around Verdun, places like the Mordum and the Douaumont Plateau, became landmarks of grief, their names telling the story of fighting so intense that trees were stripped bare and soil became a mass of shrapnel and corpses. Key moments punctuated the long struggle. The early capture of Douaumont shocked France, but a series of determined counterattacks and careful defense gradually blunted German momentum. The defense of Fort Vaux in June, where a small French garrison held out under suffocating conditions until relief arrived, became emblematic of stubborn resistance. By midsummer, both armies had exhausted large portions of their reserves. The battle shifted into a war of logistics and nerve as much as tactics. Casualty figures are staggering. By the time the fighting subsided, hundreds of thousands of men lay killed, wounded, or missing, and entire villages were erased from the map. Verdun's human cost shaped memory and policy long after the guns fell silent. The battle entered French national consciousness as a testament to sacrifice and endurance. Memorials, cemeteries, and ossuaries were later created to hold the dead and to make sense of the loss. For Germany, too, Verdun left a legacy of squandered lives and bitter lessons about attrition warfare. Strategically, the battle failed to produce a decisive breakthrough for either side. It did, however, sap resources and set the conditions for later Allied offensives. Militarily, Verdun illustrated the murderous efficiency of modern industrial warfare, massed artillery, improved fortifications, and the grinding calculus of replacements and supply. The landscape remained scarred for decades, forests that never fully recovered, shell-cratered fields, and ruined villages, silent witnesses to the intensity of 1916. Beyond tactics and numbers, Verdun's real lesson is moral and human. It forces us to reckon with choices that treat human lives as expendable variables in a strategic equation. It also reveals the capacity for endurance, solidarity, and small acts of courage under horrific conditions. The memory of Verdun shaped interwar politics, commemoration practices, and the way societies told their stories of the Great War. As we look back now, surviving maps, photos, and personal testimonies offer fragments of experience. A soldier's letter, a photograph of shattered trees, a list of names etched into stone. These artifacts are a bridge between past and present, urging us to remember individuals rather than merely tallying casualties. Verdun remains a powerful reminder of the human cost of attrition warfare and the limits of strategies that prize material over lives. In the years after the war, Verdun became a focal point for remembrance and reconciliation. Former enemies returned as pilgrims and veterans to reconcile grief and to honor the dead. Make sure to subscribe to History Safe for more restored color footage, rare archival material, and in-depth history content.